So the banana zone is when that happens, usually after the halving, there's this consolidation period, down 20%, chopping around, usual stuff. And then it starts gathering, and then it goes crazy. So let me show you a couple of charts on this, just so we're on the same page. So this is global liquidity. This is the GMI global liquidity. This was on that tweet thread. Now, it's a very colorful chart. You probably can't read it. If you're colorblind, you're totally fucked. But what it says is the yellow periods are summer. In summer, what we find is liquidity increases. This is global liquidity, not US liquidity, global liquidity. So in summer, liquidity starts increasing. Obviously, 2020, because of the pandemic, it went bananas. But 2016, 2012, these were good periods for liquidity. And guess what? Crypto, technology, they all rose. Then you get into fall. Fall is often when the real fireworks happen. Liquidity keeps pumping and then eventually tops out into winter. That's when you get the corrections, the crypto down cycles. So we've got the best two parts of the cycle to come. Obviously, the best entry was at the bottom of winter. That's when I was buying Solana, Ethereum, all back then. And then I've obviously switched around. So I'm pretty much 100% Solana right now, outside of small meme stuff and other bits and pieces. Because Solana, the Solana Bitcoin cross chart, Solana ETH cross chart looks so compelling that I'm like, if my job here is to make as much money as possible, I'm just going to own the thing that I think is going to go up the most.
Cada vez que Bitcoin llega a un halving, la gente espera que los precios se disparen de inmediato debido a un choque en la oferta. Pero lo que realmente sucede es diferente. En lugar de un salto instantáneo en el precio, experimentamos un periodo de consolidación, donde los precios caen cerca del 20%. Después, el mercado cripto gradualmente gana impulso antes de despegar con un movimiento ascendente importante. Ese es el último mensaje de Raoul Pal, el fundador de Real Vision. Recientemente, habló sobre las fases y ciclos de la liquidez global, destacando que los dos mejores periodos para las criptomonedas aún están por venir. Estamos entrando en lo que él llama verano macro y otoño macro, donde ambos esperan que traigan el crecimiento explosivo que a menudo vemos en el mundo de las criptomonedas. El consejo de Raoul Pal es simple: no pienses demasiado las cosas. Tenemos una idea de lo que viene, y tu tarea principal es mantenerte en esto. Asegúrate de quedarte hasta el final del video, donde Raoul Pal profundiza en por qué cree que solo quedan 6 años para que los inversores puedan alcanzar la riqueza que cambie sus vidas, antes de que la tecnología haga que el panorama sea caótico. Si disfrutas mantenerte al tanto del contenido financiero, considera suscribirte o darle like al video. Es gratis y siempre puedes cambiar de opinión. Ahora, aquí está la razón por la cual Raoul Pal cree que esto es solo el comienzo de una oportunidad significativa en el espacio cripto.
Everything's fucking correlated. Everything. The everything code cycle of the 4-year debt refi cycle means that everything gets correlated. A few assets lead, crypto and tech. Others follow the business cycle. The business cycle's bottoming, so they all bottom. But they're all correlated. Everything's correlated. So for me, I like to keep everything really moronically simple. If everything's correlated, then there is no such thing as diversification. In fact, I made a big presentation to a big family office network, to lots of very famous US gigantically wealthy families, and my presentation is diversification is dead. And I just said, listen, so all you do if that's the case, you just look at all the charts, and we got to, hey, the best performing stock market in the world is the NASDAQ, isn't it amazing? Technology, you all get technology. And they're like, yeah, okay, we're investing in this. We can see the AI revolution, the robots and everything else. We get it, technology. I'm like, yeah. Divide the NASDAQ chart by Bitcoin, and NASDAQ is down 99.93%. I'm like, you're in the wrong asset. It's as simple as that. It's a supermassive black hole.
Raoul Pal también compartió sus opiniones sobre los ciclos del mercado y sus correlaciones. Explicó que en el ciclo de refinanciamiento de deuda, que normalmente dura 4 años, todo se vuelve correlacionado. Algunos activos, como las cripto y la tecnología, marcan el camino, mientras que otros siguen el ciclo empresarial. A medida que el ciclo empresarial alcanza su punto más bajo, también lo hacen estos activos correlacionados. Raoul Pal cree que esta interconexión significa que la diversificación está esencialmente muerta.
This transition into a new system, where the old system is broken. We're forced to speculate. The system is rigged against us. Asset prices keep going up, wages don't go up. Everybody's polarized, everybody hates each other. You throw in immigration, global trade, you throw in aging populations, you throw in AI, robotics, right? This is not easy for anybody. And everybody just feels like it's out of their control. And I get it, but you've been given the gift. Crypto is the gift. And all you have to do is not fuck this up.
Raúl enfatiza que estamos en un periodo de transición crítica. En este mundo cambiante, el sistema financiero tradicional está roto, con precios de activos en aumento pero salarios estancados. Esta situación se complica aún más por problemas como la inmigración, el comercio global, la población envejecida y los avances en tecnología de inteligencia artificial y la robótica.
Let's talk about the psychology of when to take profits, the cycles that we know are there. And let's just think it through together, because it's going to vary for everybody, and that's a key thing. So as we know, crypto is very cyclical based on this everything code thesis that I've built, which is there's a debt refi cycle that happens every 4 years because everybody reset their interest rates in 2008 to zero and then made all of the government debts in around 4 years, 3 to 5 years. And it's created this endless cycle, which happens to be the same as the Bitcoin halving cycle and the US presidential cycle. So we're faced with these cycles. And out of 3 years, crypto is the best performing asset in the world. In year 1, crypto spring, year 2, crypto summer, year 3, crypto fall, and macro spring, summer, fall. And then year 4 is the worst. And the worst is what scars people. And people want to know how to deal with this. So how I think about it first is you've got to establish what are your goals here? What is your time horizon for your investments? So if you're saying, my big macro thesis is this space goes from, let's say, $2.5 trillion today to, let's say, 10 to 15 trillion at the end of this cycle, depending how big this cycle is, to 100 trillion by, let's say, 2032. So we've got the largest wealth generating macro trend of all time, and it's still in front of us. Yes, the early days were super high returns, but it's still super high returns. So we don't want to fuck this up. Right? We want to capture that.
Raoul Pal discute la psicología de decidir cuándo tomar ganancias en inversiones cripto, enfatizando que esta decisión varía para cada persona. Los mercados cripto son conocidos por sus ciclos, los cuales están influenciados por el ciclo de refinanciamiento de deuda de 4 años. Este ciclo se alinea con el Halving de Bitcoin y los ciclos presidenciales de Estados Unidos, creando un patrón que los inversores necesitan comprender.
So a lot of people start thinking, well, should I trade out in macro crypto fall, try and sell that peak and then buy in the bottom, and then I don't have to go through the horror of the 75% drawdowns? Let's think about this. Firstly, I'm going to give you what I did and the lessons I learned, and then we'll talk about how we can deal with this cycle going forwards so I can help you navigate your needs. And we've all got different needs here. So the first time I bought Bitcoin was at $200 in 2013. I had a 5 to 10 year view that this was going to be worth $1 million. And it was $200. And I discounted myself by 90% for being a moron, thinking that it could go to $1 million. So I said, listen, it's worth $100,000. This is $200. This is the best opportunity I've ever seen. So I treated it like a call option at the time. So I didn't put a huge amount of money in, but a decent size. And I said, right, I'm just going to forget about it. It kind of went up like a rocket ship straight after that. And I was up 5x or something very quickly. And I was like, oh my God, I'm clearly George Soros. I'm the best trader ever. And then it fell 85%. And I just didn't worry about it because it was a call option. At the time, I thought, well, it could go to zero. So I'll just see. Let me play this out. That's a macro time horizon, long-term time horizon. And I thought if I just hold it long enough, we should generate huge returns. By 2017, crypto's taking off again, and it's at $2,000. And I was now up 10x, and the Bitcoin forking wars happened, and I mid-curved it. Mid-curving it is, if you remember, is when you're overthinking a very simple trend, which is, you can be the moron on the left or the Jedi Master on the right, but in the middle is where you do all of the overthinking. The moron on the left is, it goes from 2.5 trillion to 10 to 15 trillion to 100 trillion. Just do that. Everything in the middle is regulation. It's what about, what happens if somebody replaces the tokens that I've got? It's what about forking? It's all of these things. They're all noise. So I succumb to the noise. I'm like, I don't know what this means. Do I switch into one, Bitcoin Cash or whatever? Stupid. And so anyway, I took profits and I was up 10x and I thought I was great. And then it went up another 10x in the next 9 months. 2017 was staggering. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. But I wasn't worried because I've made 10x. So I try not to have regrets about positions. And then it fell, and it fell 85% as usual. And 2018, there was all the tether fund at the time. There was a whole bunch of misery around the 2018-19 bear market. So 18 was that terrible year. Then it bases in 19, starts rising. I start watching it and then start digging in, doing the homework of, do I want to get back in meaningful size? And then I'm watching the chart pattern, looking for an entry, and it does this massive kind of wedge pattern, gets to the top, tries to break out, drops into the middle on the COVID massive sell-off. And I'm like, this is the opportunity because I know this chart pattern, the likelihood it's going high. And so I got in there and I massively sized up what versus my original bet. Maybe it's 6-7 times bigger than the first time I went in. And I've added since. Okay, so how did I do? I felt great because I bought it low, sold it into a big rally in one cycle, then bought it. I'd ridden one cycle all the way up and down, rode the other one up, sold out, then rebought into maximum pain, the down 50% day. And then the breakout of 10,000 above that. I thought, yeah, I've done pretty well with this. I then went back and looked at what happens if I just kept my original bet, which was much smaller. I would have made 5 times as much money by not doing anything. That kind of upset me a little bit because I thought, I was a macro guy, I traded it well. No. The issue being is this asset is in a logarithmic uptrend based on a network adoption model, Metcalfe's law. And so all of the highs are higher and all of the lows are higher. And when you put it on a normal scaling, it keeps looking like a bubble and then this. And when you look back on the chart, these little blips versus this because it's this gigantic trend. So what you start to realize is the drawdowns are a feature and a benefit if you think about them right.
Para navegar estos ciclos, los inversores necesitan establecer sus objetivos y horizonte temporal. Raoul sugiere considerar hacia dónde crees que se dirige el mercado cripto. Si piensas que el mercado podría crecer de $2.5 billones hoy a entre 10 y 15 billones de dólares para el final del ciclo, y posiblemente a 100 billones de dólares para 2032, entonces estás ante una de las mayores oportunidades de generación de riqueza de la historia.
So, for those of you who don't need the money now, then I would take that cycle, the down cycle, with utter joy and add. Expect to see an 80% drawdown. Maybe it's less this time, maybe it's more. Solana was down 97% this time. ETH was last time down 97%. And embrace it, because every time you buy those lows, you're going to 10, 20, 50x, depending what you're buying. Just of major coins, right? So it is a huge wealth generator. If you imagine Solana last year was a 10x in crypto spring. We haven't got to summer or fall yet. We're just transitioning to summer now. So if you've got a long-term time horizon, you will definitely make more money by following that route. Buy the sell-off, embrace it, have cash ready for it. Right now, we're probably in the last opportunity to put cash into the market. So if you've got cash or you're waiting, now is the last chance. Because after this, we hit the banana zone and everything goes a bit crazy.
Si disfrutaste este video, asegúrate de darle like y suscribirte para más actualizaciones cripto y contenido financiero. Gracias por ver.